Alf, today we've got a feel-good story. Everybody belongs in the sports card hobby. And yes, man, there are so many goobers out there like me that talk on social media, or my God, half the people that went to the Topps conference completely nauseating the massive egos. It's a joke. Hell, if you've been considering making content, now is the time to jump in my opinion. There's a lot of great content out there, and I actually want to shout out a channel that does a really good job talking through the history of sets, and recently talking about some of those junk wax era sets that I really like and miss, frankly. Pinnacle. Anybody remember Pinnacle? The Sports Card Professor YouTube channel, check it out. But he did a video, and you're talking about like a deep dive breakdown. Early 90s, what caught my attention, of course, is the football cards, I believe, that were on the thumbnail. But early Pinnacle football in the 90s, that was the stuff. But check out the Sports Card Professor channel. That, like many channels out there, great for education. Before I deep dive in, channel partners, PSA, $25 off your first submission over there. Or if you've submitted, tell a friend, spread the wealth. It's $25 off, just a one card minimum. SCD25 code at the shipping and billing screen. Make sure to take advantage. I've got people using this code every single week, getting $25 off. Make sure to treat yourself. And speaking of treating yourself, SlabMags, one of the only ones left that's got a promo code. People use it every single day to order SlabMags Sports Card Dad at checkout. Gets 10% off your entire order. It's the best way to display your cards and to protect surface and autos. Everybody belongs here in the sports card hobby. We do have challenges. One of the main challenges being if you want to open packs for new product, it's just way too expensive, bottom line, for everybody to be able to participate at a price tag that everybody wants to pay. Of course, when demand is really high, and it's not just in sports cards, Pokemon cards especially, everything is amplified. And so, yeah, that part sucks. If you want to open up packs, inexpensively, you got to go back to my childhood and open up 89 Donruss baseball or open up 92 Fleer Ultra basketball. You can get boxes of that stuff and chase Shaq rookies, and that, honestly, for me, that's more fun than just rolling the dice on new product anyway. But the real opportunity for collectors or speculators in this market where everybody can participate is on the singles market. I tried to prove this here recently with my nostalgia binder project that I've got. I've gotten cards right here actually in front of me. Examples, David Robinson Hoops, Chris Webber Classic, Mark McGwire 87 Tops, Diamond Kings, Barry Bonds. These are all $1, $2, $3 cards from the era that I grew up in. But you know what? You can get cards of stars now today as well that are $1, that are 50 cents, of Jokic and Ant-Man and, even Patrick Mahomes. He's got dollar cards. He's got $2 cards out there. Tom Brady's got dollar cards. So when it comes to just participating in the hobby and collecting cards or speculating, there's all sorts of options at different price points. And I don't think that that's really talked about enough. It always is, hey, you got to get in on a new product for the big chase. Of course, that can be fun, but you don't necessarily have to do it that way. You also don't have to buy, an 86 Fleer Michael Jordan to fit in. You don't have to buy a 52 Topps Mantle to fit in. You can just buy cards of cool players that you enjoy. I'm a massive New Orleans Saints fan, and actually, interesting story here. So this is kind of one of those deals where the channel has opened a door for me that I did not think it could possibly open, and I'm so excited about this. I'll tell the story. So I had an email that came through that I didn't recognize, and it's from an executive of the New Orleans Saints. And actually, I thought it had to do something with like my season tickets or something, so we're season ticket holders. But no, it's actually somebody that is an executive for the New Orleans Saints that watches the channel and offered, when we're in town, some extra perks, being able to possibly get on the field before the game and that sort of a thing, and some extra things. Talk about crazy, and it's just because I'm here with my channel, and of course, I told my sons, I told my dad, and they were like flipping out. My youngest son, as I've said, he's autistic, and then one thing, again, another reason to love my New Orleans Saints, they've got a lot of autism awareness signs all over that stadium. They're very in tune, and so he was really, really excited, both my sons really, to be able to go and possibly meet players before the game and that sort of stuff. I don't have those connections, I guess, until now, and it's all thanks to this channel and just putting myself out there starting from 5 years ago. There's a lot of community and camaraderie that is out there. You just have to find it. I think it's just about finding your own community out there, finding your own cliques. I've got friends in a variety of different cliques, which is great, but I'm also just really happy just collecting cards on my own too. I do a lot of the stuff just on my own, whether it's kind of like putting together a strategy where I'm going in on a certain player or I'm building out a specific set. I don't necessarily need anybody to be able to do that. I do it on my own. And then you add kind of the camaraderie of folks in the hobby that you enjoy hanging out with or whatever, and that adds to, the overall experience. Part of what has me thinking about this is I'm going to go to Fanatics Fest at the end of June, but the National's coming up here in 70 or 80 days. And that's where you get to see a lot of your buddies that you content creators that you don't see all year, and then you go and see them there. Viewers, there'll be a lot of viewers there. Shout out to Michael Golden. I'll see him out there. People that you don't otherwise see. And during those few days being out at the National, when Topps does these rip nights, you can go there, and a lot of times young people get packs for free. There's a lot of networking there between other collectors that are meeting each other, talking to each other. Of course, you have content creators there. There's store people, there's business people, industry people. But for local people there, you can go to these trade nights at these local shops, these stores that continue to grow. When you hear about the Cards HQs of the world, the Burbank Sports Cards, and you see there's a lot of stores that are really putting a lot of money into these stores, upgrading the events that they've got at these stores. The trading card world, the world of trading cards, continues to expand. And even with economic uncertainty, again, if you don't have as much money to go buy on a box of cards or whatever, that singles market is always there for you. There's singles at 50 cents, $1. There's always options to be able to go out and enjoy yourself, no matter what the price point. Also, the other thing that I always have to remind myself of too, enjoy what you have. I have accumulated a lot of stuff, and, I have a lot of cool stuff that I really enjoy. So, if there's certain moments, times, if there's a few weeks, a month, a couple months, if I'm not, buying a card, it doesn't happen often. I'm usually buying something, even if it is a $1 card. But, it's also kind of like, hey, why not just enjoy more of what we already have? That's something that is lost on me sometimes that I have to remind myself of. But I'm seeing, whether it be stores, shows, online content, everything else, there is a next generation coming up that is taking part in trading cards. You're seeing a lot of young people. We'll go back to pre-pandemic. When we go back to 2018, 2019, 2020, I don't know if I could say that. I'm not saying that there wasn't young people. There was a lot of middle-aged guys like myself that were participating. Now what you're seeing is a lot more families. You're seeing a ton of families that are going to shows. The National looks completely different now than it did in 2021, 2024, 2025. You're seeing a lot more young people. A lot of moms are out there, a lot of dads. It's totally different, and you can see that next sea of, that next generation of collectors, customers, they're coming through. And guess what? They're going to probably get out of it the same way that we did when we were, 15 to, 35, and then get back into it when everybody kind of has that midlife crisis, as I joke about, and they get back into the things that remind them of happy times during their childhood, fun times they had with their mom or their dad or with their buddies. And frankly, I think there's probably more of these young people today that are participating and coming up through the hobby than there was even in 1990, when it seemed like every boy that was in class owned baseball cards. Everybody had a binder of cards. It was strange if you didn't. Now I think it's starting to become a lot more mainstream. It's not slowing down. We're going to Fanatics Fest at the end of June. That's not a show that's ever really existed before. And I'm not going to pretend like I love all the things that Topps and Fanatics are doing, because I don't. And I talk about it here all the time. But I'm excited to go to Fanatics Fest and see kind of what they're going to do year 2. I did not go to the first one. So my assumption is that they're probably going to take away what worked, what didn't work, what do we want to do differently. And I think Neo will be out there too, so we can kind of chat about what's different about this one compared to last year. I think that it is great that Fanatics is attempting to turn sports fans or non-sports fans into trading card collectors, because that's really the attempt, is to get those people into collectibles in some way, some form. Of course, Topps and Fanatics are going to have all sorts of different offerings. They already do with sports and non-sports. It's going to continue to grow out. We'll see it happens, but this does feel to me like a golden age. It really does. Again, lots of things not to like in the sports card hobby at this time, certainly challenges, but a lot of them are kind of good problems to have if you're taking part in this industry. Meaning, if product is not available, if demand is very high, and that's the reason why prices are elevated, and that means that there's just a lot more participants than there used to be. And we might not like that because maybe you're used to paying a certain price for cards or whatever, and now that that's changed, well, that's a good problem to have if you're an industry. For a collector, you just have to adapt to it. You just have to adapt to, okay, well, I'm going to just buy this instead of that. And we've got 100 plus years of cards. And really, even with new releases, if you're having to shift your focus, really a lot of that is just, okay, well, instead of buying into the new boxes, I'll just wait 3 months and then buy the singles as they come out. That's a very easy way to adapt. All right, my friends, I hope that you have an amazing day ahead. Again, just wanted to get some quick thoughts off my chest. It's a hobby / industry / business that continues to expand, and I'm excited about it. Stay healthy, stay awesome. I'll talk to you again later.